Hello and welcome to Brand X Reviews. In this video we're going to talk about something that I don't know anything about, to be honest. My co-review, The Core, is going to kind of take the reins on this one. It's a TV show back in the 90s called Babylon 5. My knowledge of it is, I remember it being on, and it was one of those shows, for like really hardcore geeks that were into things like Star Trek, The Next Generation and Deep Space Nine and Voyager that were on at the time. For people that wanted to go a bit further down that kind of sci-fi rabbit hole, there were shows like Babylon 5. It's very heavy on the special effects and so on, I remember that. But as I say, my co-reviewer is going to be able to tell you more about it. I've never seen an episode. In fact, all I know about the show is what I saw from Simon Pegg in the 90s TV series Spaced.
Derek? Babylon 5's a big pile of shit.
Get out!
Yay!
So with that being said, it's not a show that I watched back in the 90s. I was too busy meeting girls. Oh, come on, stop, seriously. Let's put those jokes aside. There's plenty of bad stuff that I watched too. My co-review, The Core, is a big fan of this show. He's recently bought it on Blu-ray and he's got some interesting things to say.
Okay.
Yes.
Babylon 5's a big pile of shit.
Get out!
So yeah, that's my exposure to the show, that and seeing it on back in the day. My mother used to watch it, but you were a big fan.
You shouldn't hold that against the show. Like, she watched some shit, she watched some okay stuff.
Yeah. But yeah, anyway, so tell us about the show, tell us about the Blu-ray set. Was it an upgrade? Was it a downgrade? Was it just like a bit of...
We'll start with the Blu-ray set, 'cause I think if you're already familiar with Babylon 5, we don't want to bore you with that stuff. We'll put that stuff at the end. But yeah, basically for Christmas, I think it was, I got the Babylon 5. This was the Blu-ray set. We've been able to get it on DVD for quite a long time. But yeah, it's only just very recently they've actually done a better quality take on it. Because up until now, the only way you could get it was basically standard definition DVD, box set that came out decade or so ago, something like that.
So
yeah, this is basically the Babylon 5, the complete series Blu-ray box set, which is going on Amazon, usually somewhere between 50 and 60 quid. I paid, I think, about 50 for it when I got it. Like I say, it was just treating myself for Christmas.
how many seasons are in that?
Well, basically, it's a bit of a loaded question with Babylon 5, because there is the main 5 seasons, and that is what you get in this box set. But there are some TV movies and other things. They are not included in this box set. So basically what you're getting is seasons 1 to 5 of the main show, which is pretty much everything. That's start to finish. If you've not watched it before, that is the complete run of it. There's no extra stuff. It didn't get cut off it doesn't start telling a story and then got cut off or anything you get some TV series like that. So it is a full story. If you get seasons 1 to 5, that is the complete story arc. There is some stuff after it and there is some stuff before it, but that's the main arc. So yeah, basically what you're getting in the Blu-ray set is seasons 1 to 5. You don't get any special features, you don't get any director's commentary, you don't get any of that, which was unfortunately all in the DVD collection they did, because of course we can't have the definitive edition with everything. We've got to look back on it.
So is it worth keeping your DVDs for the other stuff? Presumably if you're a hardcore collector, you're going to want to keep that other good stuff as well, so you've got to have both. Then you say something about the aspect ratio as well.
Yeah, I was going to get into that. Basically, if you've got the original DVD set, the DVD set will be in widescreen. And basically that will run seasons 1 to 5. You can get in individual series box sets, series 1, series 2, series 3. Now, if you do it that way, you will not get any of the TV movies. You'd have to get them separate. and you wouldn't get the pilot, like the feature-long pilot episode either. You'd have to get that separate. Now, one thing the Blu-ray set does have, it includes The Gathering, the feature-length like pilot episode. Although, again, this is kind of like the stupid thing they do. They put it in as like a special feature. So if you haven't like paid attention, like, you know, if you just got the box set, open it up, slap the discs in and started watching, you will actually miss the pilot episode because that is like right tucked away at the end as like a bonus feature. It's like, no, that's great.
So this is a pilot that is actually like proper canon of the show.
It is part of the series. Like, it even gets referred back to a couple of times during the series, like the events of the pilot. There is a little bit of differences between it and the main show because they changed the cast up a little bit. Like the first officer and the doctor get replaced. But yeah, it's definitely part of the show. It's something you would want to watch as part of the show.
Right.
So yeah, basically the Blu-ray set, you were getting it in 4.3, kind of the same ratio it was on like old televisions. If you have it on the DVD, however, you are getting the full widescreen. However, the trade-off there, and I have like got my old DVDs out and like watched a couple episodes just to check. The DVD set is kind of blurry at times, like the resolution is not that good. And basically the reason they've done the Blu-ray in 4.3 is the special effects scenes throughout the show are all shot in that aspect ratio. So when they did it in the DVD thing, they had to kind of zoom in the picture. So basically you didn't have like the like zoom in like closer, and they'd technically be cutting off like a bit of the top and the bottom of the screen to make it appear widescreen.
Right.
Which has the downside of, especially watching it on a bigger TV, the special effects scenes are a lot blurrier and tend to be a little bit kind of funny looking.
Mm.
So basically, just to kind of underline it, I would say if you don't have it, definitely the Blu-ray box set is what you want. If you do already have it and you're a fan, I'd basically put the question over to you of like, how much does like picture fidelity kind of matter to you? Because this is like the best it's ever looked. Like, you know, like crystal clear, like scenes look very different because in the DVD version, like some of the makeup effects and stuff, I kind of lose some of the like detail. Like Jakar, for example, one of the aliens just looks very red skinned and like not really good in a lot of the images. Whereas if you actually get the like Blu-ray, it looks a lot better. It's like color correction and stuff.
Yeah. But I would go for better picture quality if it's a choice between that and the aspect ratio. I'd probably go for the better picture quality. I mean, in a lot of cases, I've opted for DVD, Blu-ray, or even 4K if the cut of the film, if it's like a director's cut or something. So, say, like for example, Terminator 2, you can get that in 4K, but it's the theatrical cut only, which has been irrelevant since the mid-90s. So I wouldn't upgrade there, but that's not really what you're asking, is it? It's more the aspect ratio versus the quality. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, like basically they were originally shot with TV in mind, but the producer, the guy who was making the show, it's like John Michael Straczynski. I can't pronounce his name. It's like quite a complicated name. So most people just call him JMS, like the guy who made the show. He did actually shoot a lot of the live action stuff with, you know, kind of like in good quality and with widescreen, like, you know, widescreen in mind. It was just when they came to like mastering the special effects, like the space scenes, basically, that they were like, well, if we render these extra little strips at either side, which nobody's going to see on television, it's going to massively balloon the budget, and it's going to take us like way longer to do it, and it's basically just not going to be of any use.
That makes sense.
So the plan was like, well, we'll shoot the live action bits that we can't just go back to later in like widescreen, and we'll do the special effects just as they are, need to be like 4.3, and then we'll come back to it later if we need to and render the bits we need. Unfortunately, they lost the original file, so they can't do that. So they'd have to go back and do it fully, or like do something with like AI or something to kind of fill in those bits. And like I said, they haven't wanted to do it on this box set, which is very unfortunate.
Yeah, we had something similar with Star Trek: The Motion Picture. Although I think, fortunately for them, they still had the project files from the 90s.
Yeah.
So they were able to bring out this thing that it was obviously not the original film, but the 90s recut of it with all extra special effects. So we got lucky with that. But it sounds like from this one, and the way you've
Yeah, like I
described
said,
it,
that's what fucked them. They lost those original files, so without them, like they can't just go back and right, we'll just do the little bits we need to. Like basically, the special effects on Babylon 5 are pretty decent, especially if you see them in like proper, Blu-ray quality.
yeah, that's one thing I
Usually it's the
remember.
space scenes.
Yeah, I remember when it was on. I remember seeing a lot of adverts for it and stuff, and it was unlike anything that you'd seen. The nearest thing would be like Star Trek: The Next Generation, but this seemed to be like a lot better. I mean,
Yeah,
by today's
Babylon
standards,
5 would have come out about the same sort of time as I think DS9 was on TV.
yeah, I kind of associate it with that.
Which,
And of
which
course,
we'll get into.
yeah. And if Buff is watching this, he might remember the reference the Babylon 5. Because we knew somebody at school who was a real hardcore geek and he had a stutter. So somebody's impression of him was going, Babylon 5. So
I mean, I do think Babylon 5 is the more geekier of the shows than even like Star Trek. Like Star Trek has a bit more wide appeal, whereas Babylon 5 was really big at the time, but it's kind of drifted off into like, geeks that know about it are fucking obsessed with it, but like a lot of other people are like, the what now?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, definitely. So what else did you have to say
Yeah, so
about it?
basically, like I say, as fucking typical with these things, you don't get any special features, you don't get any director's commentaries. You do get the special edition cut of The Gathering, like the prequel episode, which is probably the best way of watching it. I've read some reviews, and one guy was complaining they didn't just give you both versions, like the theatrical and the well, not theatrical, but like the broadcast version and the special edition they did. But honestly, like The Gathering is already a very long episode with a lot of exposition in it that can be kind of slow. And if you watch the like original broadcast version, it's even worse because it was deliberately like kind of stretched out to like be longer so they could put more adverts in it.
Oh, yeah, they do that.
But yeah, basically to get Babylon 5 right now, let's say you're looking at 50 to 60 quid on Amazon. If you were getting the DVD box sets, they can vary. Like you're looking at least 10 to 15, maybe even 20 quid for a season. If you can get them, because like, of course, there's no new versions of this coming out. You'd have to get them kind of, second hand at this point.
Yeah, if they're
I
out of
think
print.
there is like the Ultimate Collection, which has been released at some point. But again, as far as I know, that is just the old standard DVDs.
And of course, this is in the UK, obviously. That's where we are. So we don't know about what's in the US, but these are for the British version. It might be a different story in different countries.
Yeah, like I say, there is a lot of extra stuff, which, like I say, you do not get with the Blu-ray box set, and you would have to get separate from the DVD collection as well. They did a number of like TV movies, basically. You can get them in a box set, but the box set is kind of stupid because it's got like 3 of the films and misses one of them for some reason, which you've got to get separate. Basically, they did one called In the Beginning, which is almost like a prequel to the show. That's probably the best of the movies they did. And then they did Third Space, River of Souls, and A Call to Arms, which you can get in the box set. And 2 of those are set kind of during the show or immediately after it. And A Call to Arms is like the setup for the sequel show they did called The Crusade. They also did the Lost Tales, which was like a limited thing that came out long after the original show had ended. It was like a collection of like 2-3 episode length stories put together into like a film length kind of presentation.
Mm.
And there's also the failed pilot for a spin-off which never happened, The Legend of the Rangers, which I don't remember being very good, but it's been decades since I've seen it, so don't take my word for that. And much more recently, they did an animated thing, Babylon 5: The Road Home, which was pretty good. That was like done like the last couple of years. I think, yeah, 2023 it came out. And that's kind of an animated thing with a lot of the original voice, actors giving their voices, or at least the actors that are still around. Because sadly, by this point, some of them have passed away.
Did you say there was a cast member who had like mental health issues or something?
Yeah, basically, like I say, between the pilot and the main series, they did like change the cast up a little bit. But it's actually kind of interesting in how often they did that in the actual series as well. Because if you're just watching it for the first time, like the first series, like the main character is a Commander Sinclair, and he basically drops out of the show after the first series. He was like the Captain Kirk character, if you like, of the show. He was like the one like front and center.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, the actor, he's like a decent enough actor. He's like does a pretty good job, but he had like serious like issues and had to drop out. So they replaced him with Bruce Boxleitner. He's the guy who played Tron, I think it was.
Right.
And he's like the main character for like the next 4 seasons.
So when roughly did this show span from and to?
Oh, Jesus, now you're asking. It was very late 90s, as I recall.
Yeah.
And like I say, it ran for 5 seasons. And in universe, each season is supposed to take course over a year.
Right.
And basically, it's very good because it does like kind of tell a coherent story. It keeps moving forward. It's like a very large, like galaxy-spanning kind of tale that it's telling. Basically, for those who've not watched it before, it's based around this space station called Babylon 5, which is like a diplomatic kind of meeting point between like governments and stuff where they can like hopefully negotiate things like diplomatically rather than ended up in like another huge war. And like I say, a lot of stuff goes down, which I don't really want to go into without like giving away the plot. But yeah, Bruce Boxleitner is the main guy, Captain Sheridan. He's like around for like 4 of the seasons. You've got Claudia Christensen as Ivanova, is like second in command. Jerry Doyle as like the chief of security and stuff. And you've also got like the alien ambassadors that play like a big part. And like I say, there's usually very interesting kind of like character arcs going on for them and stuff. Like one of them I mentioned before briefly, Jakar, is played by a guy called Andreas Katsoulis or something like that. He's been in a lot of other things. He usually like plays like a thug or a heavy. I think he was in The Fugitive as like the one-armed man.
Oh yeah. Who
Yeah.
was the guy that was in Night of the Comet? Or was that? No, am I thinking? Was he in Voyager, Star Trek Voyager?
I think you're thinking of Voyager.
Yeah.
Different. But yeah, the connection between Babylon 5 and Deep Space Nine, because this was kind of like a bit of a controversy at the time. Basically, about the time that JMS was going around and like shopping out the series Bible and trying to get people to buy into Babylon 5, they were deciding to do a new Star Trek show. And suspiciously, after they'd like received the pitch and the series Bible and stuff, the new Star Trek show is going to be set on a space station.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, JMS himself said he doesn't think the actual writers on DS9 ripped him off, but definitely somebody at the higher ups, like at like Paramount or CBS, whoever had it at the time, were like, "Well, we like this idea, but we're not paying for it because we've got Star Trek, so we'll just do our own version of it."
Right.
But yeah, there's definitely some like similarities you can kind of point to, like not to a huge amount, but they're definitely there. Like weird things where you both have like 2 characters called Ducat, which is like in DS9 he's a much more major character than he is in Babylon 5, but it's like that's an oddly specific name.
Yeah, just seemed a bit dodgy that.
Yeah, and like little stuff like it's Commander Sinclair rather than a captain to begin with, and that's how DS9 starts out as well. Cisco's like a commander to begin with, and it's like in that it's like coming out of the war against the Cardassians between, the occupation of Bajor and all this. And in Babylon 5, it's like coming out of this massive like war with Earth and Minbari. And it's like you could definitely see the like connective tissue there. It's
Yeah,
kind of like you used to get like, yes, we're going to do like a like skydiving like action heist movie, and you get like two of them coming out more or less like in the same year.
Terminal velocity and drop zone. I know.
Yeah,
I
like
get
stuff like that, where it was like, that's odd. We're coming out with two very similar films back to back.
Yeah, and Olympus Has Fallen and White House Down.
Yeah, that's a more recent like example.
So yeah.
Also, if you're not wanting to own the physical media, you can get most of it on like Amazon Prime. I think you can also get Babylon 5 on maybe like the Warner Brothers. Is that like HBO Max Warner Brothers?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. Because that's how we've got the Blu-ray. Because originally they like remastered it and kind of like spruced it up to put on there.
Oh yeah, that was a similar
for
thing.
the longest time, we didn't get a re-release of it at all because somebody at Warner Brothers was like, "Oh no, it's shit. I don't want to have anything to do with it," and they just wouldn't re-release or do anything like that. It's only been in the last few years where obviously some fucking executives got his ass kicked out of there, and we finally got like a newer version.
Yeah. So it didn't take you too long to get through it. You got it for Christmas, and you finished it in the last couple of weeks or something.
Yeah, pretty much. I've worked my way through the main series and watched the TV movies that I already had, and I'm on to. There was a spin-off show, like what was supposed to be a sequel to Babylon 5, which is called The Crusade, which is what the last of the TV movies, Call to Arms, was supposed to lead into. Basically, at the end of Babylon 5, like things are looking up. But by the time of the Crusade, like this alien virus has been released on Earth, and everybody's going to die in 5 years if they don't find like a cure to it. So in the Crusade, the crew have given like this really fancy starship to go out and like explore, like try and find a cure. Like basically, they don't think they can beat this thing in 5 years, so they're looking for any kind of alien technology or leg up that might let them kind of cure it faster. And like I say, you would recognize the captain because he is Gary Cole.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah, from Midnight Caller, who I just did a video about a few weeks ago.
Yeah, I quite like him. He did a really good job in this. But yeah, unfortunately, there was like fucking around with like networks. The network decided to kill it, and nobody else was going to pick it up, and basically like shit happened. So we got like basically your 5 seasons of Babylon 5 are like 22, 23 episodes. Unfortunately, with the Crusade, we've only got 1 season and only about 13 episodes of it.
Right.
So it was only about half the length. There's also another person you might know, because you watched Lois and Clark recently, haven't you?
Oh, yeah.
The like femme fatale type from the first series, like Tracy Scoggins. Like, I think she's always trying to like shag Clark.
Yeah, she was always wearing leopard skin stuff. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, she looked absolutely terrible, as I recall. She's actually pretty good in this. She's Captain Lockley. She takes over Babylon 5 after Sheridan like gets promoted to like some other position. Like she takes over Babylon 5 in his stead. So she's in the last season of Babylon 5, and she's in like the Crusade as like a recurring guest star.
Yeah, I quite liked her in Superman. That first series was pretty good. They kind of recast it after the first series, got rid of one of the characters, and Jimmy Olsen got recast. But I seem to remember she was quite good in it, to be fair.
Yeah, like I said, I seem to remember she got ejected after the first season as well, didn't she? So I don't remember her showing up after that.
Yeah, that's correct, yeah. We're running out of time anyway. So one thing you were saying was about the Blu-ray set, the way that the discs are packaged it leaves a lot to be desired.
Yeah,
right?
It's basically one of those stupid boxes where everything is like all in one box, whereas the DVDs were like in individual like DVD cases you could take out of like the big sleeve. In this, it's like they're all in the same thing, and they're all in this really stupid, like awkward plastic holders. And simultaneously, stuff falls out at the drop of a fucking hat. So you're like, shit, I've dropped the disc on the floor. Like, that's going to be doing it wonders.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, getting some of them out, you need to nearly bend them fucking double to get them off the,
Spindle.
plastic holders. So I've just done away with the box altogether and just put them in a, like, sleeve. Like, a,
Sometimes
little...
you're right.
Yeah. It doesn't look as good, but it's like, I'm not risking breaking the fucking discs anymore.
Yeah, it's annoying, especially when you've paid quite a bit, and then the way the discs are actually put in there. I don't know why they do that.
There's literally no bells and whistles with the Blu-ray set at all, which is a disappointment. Like the DVD sets had like animated menus and like little booklets with them and stuff like that. And like I said, like the cast and crew commentaries on some episodes and like little featurettes. They could have slapped that on an extra like DVD disc in with the rest of the fucking Blu-ray. It wouldn't have killed them. But it's like, nah, we can't. I don't know what it is about Blu-ray. They just don't seem to want to be bothered.
Yeah, I think it's just a current thing. Like I say, we're running out of time. Was there anything else we can squeeze in for a minute?
Like I say, it's a very good show. I'd strongly recommend it if you're into sci-fi and you haven't seen it. It's very like fun. First season starts out a little bit slow, so don't be like immediately put off if it doesn't like click with you. I'd recommend staying with it. I'd focus on the show first and not worry about the supplementary stuff like the movies. Watch them after the series. Even the one that's technically a prequel, like you'll get more out of it having understood the series and going back to watch it rather than starting out with that. But yeah, that's all I've really got to say. Like I say, overall, it's a good box set. I'm glad I got it. Definitely some minor niggles. They could have done better.
Yeah, fair enough. Right, well, we'll leave it there. And if there's anything else on this, we'll maybe do some updates or whatever. But yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much for watching. Thanks for that, Carl. It's very interesting.
Yes.